Hi, and welcome to Conversations here on NTA Network, where we discuss issues that affect you and me. My name is Nike, and as usual, in our style in the Conversations room, we have different people to speak on different things, and we'll do a bit of introductions before we talk about the topic for today. Sir?
Right. My name is Romy Mom. I'm the president of Lawyers Alert, a civil rights activist and a gender expert.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Maimuna Umi Abdullah, aka Coach Didi. I work with schools and I do coaching and counseling.
Okay, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm just Elizabeth. I'm actually very curious about your name. It's president of Lawyers Alert.
Yeah, Lawyers Alert.
So all the money that go into the accounts, you get a lot, right?
I don't think it's that kind of alert.
That would be fantastic.
So what are the lawyers alerting about?
Well, it's just a group of lawyers who have come together to offer principally free legal services
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
to vulnerable persons in the society, especially women who suffer gender-based violence at
Okay.
home, sexual-based violence, and all of that. So it's a non-profit organization, and the services are free legal services.
Awesome.
That's
Barrister Mom has, taken the cat out of the bag and talked about exactly what we'll be focusing on today in the conversations room: gender-based violence, domestic violence, and we all know that it has been in the news quite often, especially in the last couple of months, obviously because of some cases that were like really in the forefront, Osinachi's case in particular. So here in the conversations room, we'll have a short tribute to Osinachi and women like her who have had to go through very difficult situations like domestic violence, and we'll be right back right after that feature.
A star so bright, many seek a beautiful place to be, but you came and made places beautiful. A precious gift from above you were, a blessing to all who knew you. A star so bright, you lit your path radiantly, a voice that blessed all ears. Lyrics so rich and fed all souls. The smile so pure, so loving yet so humble. You made very beautiful memories in church, in your children, in every home. Oh, Ikweme. A star so bright. To the world you were but a person, but to your family you were the world. Even on dark days, your strength and smiles reigned. Asking so little, yet giving so much. A star so bright. You live on. The world may bring pain, but heaven gives lasting peace. Though you may be no more, your spirit lives on to brighten our dark days. The world lost a soul, but heaven gained an angel. There are no goodbyes for us. Live on, dearest Osinachi. You came from your chi, and back to your chi you return. A star so bright. Shine on, live on, though from a distance now.
Many thanks to the producers that put that feature together, that tributes together. What I've learned from Usinachi's experience is that it has brought out women from the shadows, people who ordinarily thought they were never ever going to have to or were going to give the opportunity or platform to talk about what they've been through, to come out of the shadows and actually address some of these issues. Sir, I know you have heard so many uh, angles on this situation, especially when it comes to domestic violence, and you're working in this area. Could you throw some light on your views on how it's been handled so far in the public space?
There's a particular case of Osinachi or generally?
Generally.
Generally, I will say we've made some a bit of progress.
Okay.
I use a bit deliberately because the issues have always remained, and that is, which you mentioned here briefly, the confidence to come out when you suffer these issues. Some sort of discrimination still happens, some sort of stigmatization. So women like to keep this indoors as much as they can, even when it's something that is sexual, incestuous within the family. They still want to keep it there and all of that. And the few who have come out, unfortunately, the society, the system has failed them. When I say the system, I mean especially the accountability mechanisms in the system, the police investigating, the courts, trying these issues, the prisons. So the whole criminal, justice belt fails women. When the police are investigating, there's a lot of bias, against, the woman. If it's a question of rape, what were you wearing? Why did you go to his house at this time? It's not your boyfriend. These questions, so it's not pleasing. And then when it goes to the Attorney General to issue a legal advice as to whether prosecution should happen, he's waiting for the doctors to give medical report. He's waiting for all this and that. And the hospitals sometimes also are not very cooperative. Then when it gets to the court, that's the worst. Because a case that should ordinarily be heard and determined within a few months can take 3, 4, 5 years. So the perpetrators are also motivated. So at the end of the day, you for example, a man rapes a girl today, it can take 5, 6, 7, 8 years for judgment to come. So what's the point at the end of it? When the society also begins to, stigmatize such a lady and all of that. So it's like, sometimes you think probably it's an offense to be a lady, a woman, or a girl, I don't know, but the whole system has failed the lady, the woman, and the girl. And for me, when I say we made a bit of progress, because women are now coming out to challenge this in the social space, not minding whether there's accountability. They want to raise, the consciousness, the awareness of it, not necessarily because they've been looking for remedies, because the remedies are far, far, far in the distance. But for now, they want to bring it up. Some kind of social shaming, trying to talk to the conscience of the society. And I think so they've taken that route now, not necessarily the legal route. And that's a bit of progress I think we've made here. The society is talking about it. We're sitting here talking about it. It's on social media, and I think for me that's wonderful. It encourages more women to come out who have suffered this.
You talked about the wheels of justice being slow, which is true. We all agree. But for instance, if I want to file a restraining order, is that faster? Does that make it? I mean, if we have to go through the court process and everything, we know that will take a long time. But can I just file for a restraining order against someone? Is that an easier route?
But it's still within the courts. That's what I'm taking. Sometimes just to get a judge to say, come on this day for your case. So you can file a case in March and wait till probably April, May to get a date. Because of the long number of cases that are waiting on the belt. We don't have enough judges, enough courts and all of that. It's and that is why people are saying, why don't we create special courts for SGBV, for sexual and gender-based violence? Create courts that are just restricted to hearing these matters, or in the normal courts. Why don't you select dates and say Mondays, Wednesdays or so, or Fridays and Wednesdays are simply for sexual and gender-based violent cases? Because if you leave them in the normal belt in the courts, whether it's a restraining order or whatever it is, you have to take your turn, and your turn is always a long route.
I am really happy listening to you. I mean, you're a man and you're speaking so much, for us. Probably it stems up from your name, which is your surname is Mom. So you tend to, care about us and all that. I wish more men would be like you. But being who you are, male, I would like to know really, what is it in a man that makes him want to hit his wife? Someone you took to the altar, someone you took to the court, someone you presented to your family and said, I do, you cherish so much. At what point? How does it happen? I sometimes I want to wonder, because to even beat a child is a bit of a job for me. What is it that sparks that feeling to hurt, to kill a woman in a man?
Well, and that's a job probably for psychologists. But what I'll say is this: the human person, when you are bigger, when the torsos are bigger and all of that, you're looking at someone who is smaller in frame. I think there's a sort of anger that comes in that borders on mental ill health. You need, and that's the thing about us in the parts of the world where we are not so wealthy, that we don't take care of our mental health. We think it's not something that it's really important, but it's a mental health. If you have anger issues, if you can't control your anger and you go hitting another person, it doesn't have to be a woman, it doesn't have to be a man. But the fact that you're hitting someone else in expressing your anger shows you have problems, psychological problems, and you should go to see doctors who could work on you and all of that. But the frustrations we have in society, we are not doing this and all of that. So sometimes we resort to the physical ability of being bigger and all of that to come against another person.
Yeah.
Does it make you more powerful or something?
It makes you smaller. It makes you really, really, really smaller, because the test of being the bigger person in the room is to take control of your emotions, take charge of this situation, and help someone through the challenges and difficulties he or she is having. So if your wife, your loved one, your spouse has an issue, you don't express your displeasure by being physical. It shows the littleness in you. It shows the state of your mental health, and above all, it means that you need to see a doctor. That's the truth. I mean, because if someone, if you love a child, if you love your wife, and if you have a sense of responsibility, we all need to make a better world. Is to bring that person out of whatever you think is not right through conversations.
Yes.
And all of that. And I think we need to begin to talk more about mental health, because it's really, really related to this.
I think we giggled at that point because we know how our men are. When you say a man needs to go and see a psychologist, the average man would be like, oh, so you're trying to tell me I'm mad? Are you trying to tell me I'm crazy? So it's good to actually let them hear it from you, from their own kind, to say, look, if you're beating a woman, you need to have you have to have yourself assessed. You need to think things through. You need to have this addressed. You need to have a professional speak to you, because if we say it, they don't believe us.
Well, but like I said again, we need to stop this man woman thing. It's about the person. Have you ever? Okay, we all drive on Nigerian roads. We see what happens. How people get really angry.
Road rage, yes.
And you say, "Excuse me, take it easy. It's not that. It's not that." So if they could just come out of their car and hit you. So there's a problem in the society, and that inability to manage our, vile emotions when they get charged is an issue. But it's worse, and when, because you think you are bigger, stronger than a woman, the opposite sex, then it's really, really little in terms of
I was wondering, Coach Didi, you're the psyche, so to speak, we're in this room. If such, like he is expressed, if a man is tempted to do that, I mean, cause domestic violence, or even the woman, what's the best way of the person now, to calm himself down, and the opposite person, what can you do to help your partner? Because I know domestic violence can be male, female. That's why I said opposite person.
Well, I think he said, that the first thing is actually seek for help. But like you also said, it's really hard to tell someone, go see, there's something wrong with you, because we always think when we talk about mental health, you don't kolo. That's just it, you don't kolo. And people don't understand that mental health is basically the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave. That's just it. Now, what can a woman do? I think, first of all, you have to be smart. If you know you have because there are signs, that's the truth. Some of us ignore the red flags. Even in relationship, you see the signs of someone who is quick to anger who smashes things when he's angry. Those are the signs of people who are violent. Now, first of all, save yourself, remove yourself from that situation, because if you're close to him, he's in this kind of rage, he could hit you. You know that. So have a safe distance and be calm. Sometimes we women feel the situation even worse. You know, it's not that you planned it, but you know, we are in our mouths, and then it doesn't help the situation. So most times I think you should have to calm down, talk him into calming down as well, and then over time seek help. And the thing is, people say, when I was going through social media, I never commented. There were so many comments about this Osinachi thing. Hey, why did she stay there? Women stay there. They kept saying the same thing over and over. Why do women stay? And that's the huge thing, isn't it? Because this is something that has been happening for years. Now, people stay for different reasons because we're all different. One of the major reasons is, like you said, this is something that has been happening all around. We've accepted it. That's the sad truth. We've accepted physical abuse as part of life.
Me, I have not accepted it.
Yeah, well, a few of us we haven't, but the majority of women accept it. You go home and you tell your mother, "My husband hit me."
I don't need to go home and tell
you're an exception. You're an exception. But most women, when they go home, they say, "Your father did the same thing, and I'm still here."
And you find out that day.
And you see, you didn't find out. Even as a child, you remember, you have a vague memory of your father hitting your mother. So you grew up with seeing that. So when you get married, your husband hits you, you don't think it's something out of the blues because you saw it as a child. And that's one of the major problems we have. And then you said something about stigma. You see, women, we are the gatekeepers of patriarchy. When things happen to women, instead of us to rally around women, support them, we are the ones that actually go out there and actually stigmatize them. True. We do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
So how do you have the strength, the willpower to come out and say this is happening to me when you will not get the support you need? You don't get it from your family, you don't get it from the women folk, you don't get it anywhere. So they find it easier to just remain and suffer in silence because your sister was, my sister Naso with me too. Naso, and we live with the Naso and then some other women, because you love the man, there's something wrong with him.
But how can you love someone who causes pain on you,
my sister,
on daily basis? That's
I don't
not
know.
real.
It's
you
real.
too need a psychological help.
Yes, because you see, that's the thing about the mind. The mind is so used to this pattern that she doesn't really see something. It's you that is seeing it like that because perhaps you see you're woke, but she doesn't see it like that because she has, from her childhood, she has seen this happen to her aunt, to her cousin, everybody around her. She has seen women being beaten, and they remain. So she hasn't seen anybody who has gone out of the norm to do something different. So she'll do the same thing. And then she sees him as he has a problem. He's a good man who has a problem.
He loves the children.
He loves the children. He loves me. It's only when I do this. And now she blames herself.
Yes.
I cause it. So it's up to me to stop trying to do this or that, and then it will be better. And then she keeps hoping it will be better and praying it away. And then they keep living the same thing over and over again. So I think it's more, like you said, it's more of mental health. For both the abuser and the victim.
I'm still really very curious. I'd like to know, maybe from the barrister now, if I want to get a restraining order, like she said, at what point do I begin to look for that? What warrants it as a woman? Is it when the man tells me get out? Is it when he slaps me? Is it when he has actually beaten me and I've gone to hospital and back? What would the court be looking at to give me that restraining order? At what point do I need it?
Yeah, so restraining orders are very rare here. We haven't litigated that much in Nigeria, and especially because of the justice system that we have. But restraining orders are given mostly to save someone from a situation in the interim, while the court looks at the case.
Okay.
So, for example, if a woman is suffering physical abuse in a home and she goes to court, the husband can be restrained from coming into the house. While
when he's the one paying the house rent, right?
That's what people think about. So people think, it's his house, it's my house. It's not your house.
It's our house,
It's
right?
our house. And the house belongs more to the woman than to the man.
Thank you very much.
But that's the truth, and that's what the law even says now. Yes. Recently in Oyo State, the court passed a judgment that if a man or if a couple, during the pendency of a marriage, are able to come up with a property, a home, in the event of a divorce, the man should leave the house. That's the law. But and just like my sister said, women sometimes are afraid to push the button, even when the law provides for them. And I say this, and I'm sorry to say this, women who should know better are the ones who are actually, in this. For example, I'll talk about emotional violence on a woman now. You have gone to court, you are in a valid statutory marriage with a woman. You don't obtain a divorce. You go and marry another woman. It's bigamy. It's an offense. The woman can come against you. But women don't do that, for example. They just let it go. When they have a problem with their husbands, they are packing their load to leave the house. When they should tell the husband, please leave. We can't stay with you. The man should leave the house.
So I can actually tell the man, please, can you take your suitcase and leave the house?
Perfectly. I mean,
the law will back me up.
It's the law of nature. For example, the man can start easier than the woman. I mean, she is in the home that she's helped build,
Yes.
and the kids and all of that. And oftentimes in our clan, she is the one. She's a caregiver in a home.
Yes.
Why will you tell her to leave? You are the one that should pack your suitcase and leave. It's easier for you to start, and all of that. And the courts will be happy and ready to give such judgments if women approach the courts in that manner.
So the cases
In a
that
few
we're
cases
not
that
aware,
I have, sorry,
we're not. Is it?
We
Are we
don't
not
know
aware?
it.
There's not much awareness.
There
We don't
isn't,
know
honestly.
this.
We just watch that in American movies.
no, but that's a lot too. I mean, women are aware, yes, but I mean, just like she says, why will I want to do that? Arabula fear. Let's just separate quietly. I take myself out, and you take yourself out, and all of that. But the woman, like I talked about the judgment in Oyo State, the woman who was, bold enough, the court asked the man, look, you have to leave the home, not her. So it's about daring to try and all of that. But like she said, when women suffer violence, you need to see a woman who truly suffers violence in the real sense. You really, really will imagine who you're talking with. A woman came to my office, and her sister actually pushed her to come and talk about what she was suffering at home. She entered and she looked like a rat that had been beaten with rain. Even though she was well dressed and all of that, as she started to talk about her husband, she was looking through the window.
Wow.
In the event, somehow, he had this larger than life image in her head. And so she was just looking through the window and asking me, so how can she go home today after talking to me? She has dared to talk to me. And I said, don't worry, we are not going to tell him he came to talk to us. And all of that. But and when she showed me pictures of the violence she had suffered, from pictures that, after the whole thing, I couldn't believe it was the same person, because her face had changed.
No, thank God.
And from the beatings and all of that. So in the course of the 1 year we represented her, and and all of that, the final picture for me was this: the man kneeling down in front of her and begging her that she should let him into his life again. And she told him, hell no, I'm done with you. She had that confidence.
But she represents a very small percentage of women who will do that, who will
Exactly.
say no.
So we should tell the stories more often.
Yes.
What we're doing here is fantastic, and more of it it's about awareness. We really, really need to talk about this. And that's why I'm saying I'm happy that women are taking a different route now. It's not so much for remedies, it's not so much for accountability, it's naming and shaming. Just name and shame the man. I watched a video this morning of two young ladies standing in front of the husband, of the father, telling him that before you touch our mom, you need to beat us first, because we're not going to allow this. And so when that video was sent, the man's name was there, his number was there, and people were encouraged to call the man and tell him what sort of a man he is. So I tried the number was switched off. I said, this man must have had a lot of,
Yes.
So he's not going to do that again. And we need to do more of this, even if the courts are slow, even if the justice system is slow to giving remedies to women, let's have some community action that can reduce this.
Okay.
And I think for me, the coming out and awareness is fantastic.
Yeah.
The risk of talking too much. Look at what happened to the women in Abuja when the Abuja raids thing started. The state went out and arrested women whom they termed to be female sex workers, and treated them in the most inhuman way. Assuming, even if the law says sex work is a crime, do you treat women in that manner? Like the state was putting a stamp on the actions that happened in the homes. I'm happy the courts came out to truly condemn all of that, and so this naming and shaming is very important.
Okay, I was just, when you mentioned about the lady who came to your office to solicit help. Since it's actually free, I would like you to tell Nigerians if we had such issue, we can come to you.
Very well, very well. The organization is called Lawyers Alert. The website is lawyers www.lawyersalertng.org.
Okay.
So I'm happy I don't have to go and see my guy to talk to tell you the
The website address.
Yeah, but so yeah, you can, if you just tap lawyers alert and Google it, it will come up.
Okay.
So yeah, we have lawyers all across the country.
Okay.
And services are free.
Right.
They are absolutely free. Whether we represent you, whether it's representing you at the police station or in the courts, or just writing letters, or just advising and linking you up to other services that we don't, give, like psychosocial support, shelter homes, and all of that. We can link women to do some of these services, and so I will encourage women who need these services to always just type in lawyers alert, and all the
And is it immediately you come, you actually get a lawyer who goes with you? Because I know women who actually have these issues. Can they just
a call? I mean, there's a toll-free line on the website that you can call.
Fantastic.
I'm glad you mentioned shelters for women. Do we have that many available? I don't see any. Well, I wouldn't say adverts, but just billboards saying that this is a shelter for battered women or anything like that. Do we have a strong system for women who need such support, such shelters?
Just in a few states like Lagos has that, and I think they are trying to set up one too in Sokoto and all of that. But NGOs do operate those ones. NGOs do operate them, and NGOs that operate them don't like so much publicity around them.
Okay.
Just because the women themselves are already in a state of fear. And they need protection.
Right.
And so, but then when you meet persons who can link you up to this, like I said, NGOs, for example, Lawyers Light does not provide shelter homes, but because we attend to women who are sexually violated or who suffer gender-based violence, we have contact of these homes with us, so that when a woman needs such a home, we pick up the phone and say, look, we have somebody here who needs the services, and we send her to the shelters homes.
That's awesome.
Just to play devil's advocate, when we talk about domestic violence, it's not saying male to female or female to male. And some men are actually saying that they have been violated. I don't know how that works out, because as much as I know I have a lot of biceps and triceps and all of that, I'm not sure I can beat even the smallest of man. But when it happens, do you also attend to men who are domestically violated?
Yeah, and that's very important. I guess my friend will talk about this some more, because violence doesn't necessarily have to be physical.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just waiting for you to
Yeah,
it could be emotional.
It could be emotional.
Many times it's actually more of emotional violence than physical.
So how do men get emotionally violated?
Well, you see,
they say men are very focal. They're not emotional beings.
Violence in an abuse is emotional abuse. For example, is when you make someone feel small. Anybody can do that. When your husband is not earning, and you're earning, you come to you useless man. That's emotional abuse.
Yeah.
When you make him feel small, when you say things that make him feel less than a man, that's emotional abuse. When you make him feel that he cannot exist without you because you are the breadwinner, it's emotional abuse.
Right.
Just that we don't, focus on that as much as we do on the physical violence, but it is violence as well. It is abuse as well, and it's both ways. Women also go through it, and men go through it as well.
Okay. Your thoughts on, he mentioned community effort, naming and shaming. I would like to know what your thoughts are on the issue.
Well, you see, the thing is, I'm from northern Nigeria.
Okay.
What you do, whatever you do, is a reflection of you, and it will reflect on your whole family. Now, I don't know about the video you saw, but in my society, if a woman does that, there will be more shaming on you again, because you brought out your family matter and you actually posted it online. You're not a good woman. So this naming and shaming, it's good. It also has a backlash. So many women will be afraid to do that as well. So I think what we have to do, for me, what I believe we have to do for now, is to create the awareness first. Because many women will not do that. To shame her husband or her father in public like that, it will come back and to bite you. So it's more or less, let's create awareness. This is happening, and I think the thing is, most of us, we sit here and talk about it as if many of us have experienced it from our parents, from our uncles, because you hardly find a human being who hasn't had a relative who has been abused. Some of us are even being abused. We just don't talk about it. As we say, we have such things.
We don't even know we're being abused.
Thank you. Many women don't even know they are being abused. Yes, it's a norm. Because this is a pattern. I grew up in this. I saw it happening, and it's happening to me. So what's new? They are just very popular saying in Hausa. A lady goes home and to tell her parents that her husband maybe is cheating. He's a chronical womanizer. He's this, he doesn't come home, he doesn't do that. And the word is akanki akafara.
What does that mean?
Akanki akafara. It's not starting with you. Do you think you're the only person it's happening to?
Okay.
And believe me, this is the worst kind of response, because where will you go further from that? And then you go back home and say, okay, so it's not from me. But it's something that's happening everywhere. And this is the mindset we're trying to change. When someone comes to you with a problem, please don't throw it back at her face. Don't belittle the problem. Simply because you have gone through worse and you survived, I am not you.
Our capacities are different.
Our thresholds for pain is different. And I think that's what we need to talk about more.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying, but I also think that there's a place where we need to begin to break the chain of things that are not right. The ladies, for example, who stood in front of their dad and said, "You rather beat us." Yeah. It told a lot of story. I mean, I saw something very fundamental there. It's like a young person saying, "This is where it stops. Yeah. We are breaking this here." Yeah. You may be doing that in the past, but our generation will not tolerate this. And I felt it was a very powerful message they sent, and I think while in the past, because of the deep patriarchal leanings we had in our society, we're beginning to accept gradually that every human is entitled to some form of dignity as a person, whether a man or a woman. And human rights are non-negotiable. And I think, Hajia, that for me, these issues of people coming out to say it started from, it didn't start from you, well, it will end with me. It's going to end here, because I'm not going to tolerate it. Nobody has the right to lift a hand and strike another person.
Definitely.
It's the most personal sort of abuse next to rape. When you strike a person, what are you saying? Who are you? Who are you? In a society where we have laws, where we have issues, people have the right to express themselves. And I think this lack of appreciation that you can express yourself is the issue. So you have a right to express an opinion no matter how much I don't approve of it. And I don't have to react by striking you because you're expressing an opinion that I don't share. So if the woman says, "Look, I'm too tired, I can't cook," she is tired, she can't cook. So if you can't cook as a husband, go out and have a meal. Why strike her? And I think the total lack of respect for the other person is the issue. So, I will come back to where I started my views on this, and I think what you're doing here is fantastic. Osinachi should be celebrated, and I love that very well. And we should celebrate women who have stood against, gender-based violence. I'm looking for those two young ladies who stood and told their dad, "You can't touch our mom." If they want, we can make them ambassadors for saying this is where it ends. It ends with this generation. You can't do this. We can't continue like this. Look at the lady that was killed. For what? Whatever it was, because she has an opinion or she said something that the husband disapproved of. But she's human. And we all cannot be in a straitjacket. Hajia is saying something here that I may not approve of. What I'm saying that she may not approve of it. And she doesn't have a right to get up and strike me because she doesn't like what I've just said.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work that way.
I actually think you're quite right in that, because those two ladies, when you were telling their story, my mind went back to a story somebody once told me. Actually, I saw it happen. Their father was used to beating their mom, and at a point, the younger brother tried to intervene. The hand the man wanted to use on the wife, I don't know how he did it. He hit the boy. The boy collapsed. Eventually, the boy died.
Okay.
So the two bigger boys now stood up. They first called the police for their father and eventually moved their mom from the house. So I knew when the incident happened. So sometimes you're pushed to the wall, like the two girls. Who knows what may have happened? That woman may have had series of surgery from beating. and they say no, it's not going to happen again. And probably because they are scared this man may kill them, they decide to go public. So if they know that we're out public, or he knows, he will not do anything funny to us. So it's a lot of times it's action and reaction that leads to that. But speaking of anger management, I sincerely want to think that it starts from the day we are marrying. That's why we have what we call courtship. When you're courting a man or a woman, your spouse to be, ensure that you know this person very well. Ensure you know his family history. Ensure you know his character. And the churches that do tests for pregnancy, I think they've also introduced a genotype. I think they should also do mental health check for people when they are getting married. So the person who has tendency to do these things, if they can detect it early, they begin to work on him. And then the girl knows, okay, this is the problem of the man I want to marry. Can I cope with it? Can I not? And what are the techniques in case it happens? And when assuming you overlooked all of that test before you married, when it starts happening, I always believe in the word silence is golden. It's something that the Englishman says. I think they call it a phrase or a clause. I don't know. So, but whatever it is, if you apply it, it really works. Silence still golden. For women, I know that our mouths, men, it pops more than popcorn. But the men should know. It's the traditional women attribute. So why must you sit down to listen? If she starts talking, take a walk. By the time you're back, she calms down. We all did it. When my mom starts talking, we take a walk. Or you put a headset on your head. There's no music playing.
While she's talking.
Yes.
Okay.
As grown-ups, not children. No, children. That headsets, they'll bury it into my skull. So I try to do, like as an adult, married. My mom didn't know whether you were old or young. She was a grandmom, I was a mother. You go to the house, you do the right thing. She treats you like you're still that 6-year-old because she wants the best out of you. And I always look at the motion or the motive behind her speech. It might be a litany, it might be so long. It doesn't really matter, but I look at it as acts of love. She's concerned. She wants me to be the best. So wherever I commit a crime, small mistakes, she reels on. So I don't listen to all those things. I try to sieve and take the real thing she's telling me. And the motive for her speech is what guides me. And I know it's love. Yeah. So if our women start shouting on their men, why are you coming back late? Why are you doing this? Why are you smelling smoke? Why are you smelling this? Don't think she's just nagging. I know it may come out like that. But I want you to look at the woman as someone who wants to save your life. The way you go to a doctor, the way you go to the pastor, that's what I see the women. Because if you're wasted, especially in your early days, it's a loss to her and her children, your children as well. If you live long, that woman will get to enjoy it. Yeah. Sometimes we talk until when the man is not listening, we push him down. If the woman pushes you down, please lie down and sleep. When she notices, or find a comic way of taking it away. There's no woman who would have agreed to marry you who will suddenly become a devil. If she turns out a devil, you cost it. So when she starts talking, try one of those old jokes. Babe, when you're angry, you look very sexy. That kind of thing. Yeah. That anger will step down a little bit. She will still talk, but she's not going to be very serious anymore. Yeah. So why do you need to banter words with somebody you say you're bigger than? Anyway, you were going to say something.
All right. Well, so we've been talking about domestic violence here in the conversations room, particularly anger management techniques. When we get back, we'll be taking some of your questions and comments on the issue. Stay with us here on NTA Network.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take its pound of flesh.
Where you can actually, everything from watching a program with the child, you can start up the conversation from something on the TV and say,
For me, it's like, hurry up with this business. And the other one said, Auntie, it's not about me, it's about the guys, they're not ready to marry.
Yes. See if she wants to ask something. No, I know my mother very well. In fact, the most interesting one is when I put up pictures on WhatsApp, you know, Snapchat filters and all that, she will call me, remove that picture. There was a day I got tired of all that and I said,
Conversations here on NTA Network. We've got some messages. Someone said, well, thank you for what you've been saying. I think they're talking about Lizzie in particular. It says, but please advise our women to listen to their husbands. As a husband, is that true? Should we always listen to you?
That's where the problem starts. Why are the husbands not listening?
Oh, okay, that's
You know,
nice.
it's this thing about the man is always right. Hell no, it's not true. It's not true. So when we begin to say, you know, we have some sayings that I find really very funny. Behind every successful man is a woman. Why not beside it? I mean, you know, why not behind every successful man is... So when you say women listen to your husband, men also listen to your wives. In fact, the wise man will tell you, listen to the woman, because of the intuition that, you know, naturally comes with them. So I wouldn't say listen to the man is very patronizing.
Yeah.
It means the man...
No, you don't have to. No, it's not. They should listen to each other.
Barrister Mom, the next question is definitely for you. I really enjoy the program and discussion. What about a woman that denies her husband? Is there any remedy for that?
Denies him
Because
what?
that is also a cause of anger.
Denies him sex?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sex.
Well, you know, sex is not an act. It's a process. It's I mean, it starts from the morning when the man is in the office. When the one is in the office, hi babe, how you doing? How's your day going? You're already building up to something. But you just can't come home and say, "Mama, yeah, but turn over." She's likely to say no.
Turn over what?
And all of that. So I think when people say when she denies you sex, you should ask yourself, why is she denying me sex?
Yeah, that's
You know, and then you work on the whys and all of that. No one who is in love with you so much that marries you will deny you sex. There has to be a reason.
absolutely. Yes.
And so we need to walk around these reasons and say, what if a woman denies you sex? Well, I would say, why is she denying me sex? Why is she denying you sex? Work on that reason.
Yeah, I
You
like
know,
the fact that
what I
it
tell-
starts in the morning.
Yeah, and then most especially, you see, the thing is, we shy away from conversations. We shy away from conversations. When something is happening, talk about it. Why, like you just said, why is this happening? Especially if this is not the behavior. This is out of this person's pattern. If something is, this is not how she usually behaves, and all of a sudden she's behaving like this, sit, have a sit. Let's talk about this. What's happening? What's wrong? But we don't do that. You know, conversation is key. We have to learn to speak to each other.
You know, I was talking to somebody who had this kind of complaint. Incidentally, it was the man. I said to the man, did you try to, make her feel soft, make her feel tender? As you went home, did you buy groundnuts or whatever it is you gave to her? And remember to tell her that even though she's been home, her hair is lovely. He said, do I need to do all that? I said, wait. When you go to the brothel to collect the, loose ladies, you pay.
Yeah.
You pay for it. So when it's your wife, you're not supposed to pay. That's why I said, give little things, compliments, tiny gifts.
Yeah. So
all those things, that's your own way of appreciating her. And that's the way of watering the place for you, for yourself.
Yeah.
So
A question came for you, Lizzie. It says, good morning, gentlemen and ladies in the studio. Is it right for a woman to put on a headset when her husband is angry? This question is to Lizzie.
okay, like I said, it's actually not right. But if you know what makes you happy, what makes you happy that can take your mind off. You can be talking to me here, the whole house will be full, and I'll be hearing my own, words in my head. You could be talking to me and I'll be listening to you, and I'm looking at you full time. I'm busy drawing your face in my head. And when I'm doing that, it's taking my mind off from what you're saying, so I don't get angry. So if you know he's going to be angry with a physical headset, it's actually rude to cover your head when you're having a conversation. You can listen to him. You can pay, you're fully with him physically, but spiritually, you're not exactly there because you don't want to anger yourself.
Yes.
When he's done talking, my kind of person, I say, sorry, it's time to eat. What do you want to eat? I have not said anything. Do you understand? I said, I cooked you one special food. Let me serve it. I'm still very angry with you, but I don't want to cause problems. So when you're done eating and doing everything, I say, that time you were talking, no, I'm sorry I made you angry, but the way you took it, bros, that's not how it was now. You should have, by the time you go like that, the man will calm down. Two wrongs can't make a right.
Absolutely.
When he's angry, you're not supposed to be angry. When she's angry, you're not supposed to be angry. And like I always say, find something that could bring it down. That's height of seriousness. Look for something to step it down.
So I think you're part of the women that believe that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Oh, every man. I'm telling
Every
you.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that too?
No, I don't.
Okay, this next question is for you, Coach Didi. Please, is there at any time that we men are angry, what exactly should we do?
Well, you see, it all depends. We're all different people. There are many different kinds of anger management techniques and skills. What I usually advise most people is the breathing exercise. There's this breathing exercise.
Breathing?
Breathing exercise.
Right, okay.
You breathe in through your nose and then hold it for like 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then breathe out through your mouth. It's calming. Because it's natural when you're really angry with someone, it builds up. It's like a volcano. But when you try the breathing exercise, you just breathe in through your nose, count to 5, breathe out through your mouth. If you do it 5 times, naturally your body will begin to relax. That helps a lot. And sometimes you can also think, what I'm going to do now, is it going to help the situation? Is it going to make it better? It's just that, of course, most of the time when we're angry, the last thing we do is think. So the breathing exercise is what I would advise. Okay. I'm actually having an anger management class for women on the 28th of May.
Men can come.
No, it's just for men, actually. Mental health.
Adding to that thing you said, I once went to that kind of class. It was a preacher man, and he said, when somebody angers you, especially what Barrister Moore mentioned along the road, think about them as lunatics and tell yourself they don't know, you're the bigger person. A lot of times, just say it and it calms you down. And not too long ago, I was driving. Some crazy idiots, drove wrongly. That hot spirits, came in anger. And I told myself, you're the bigger person here. He's a lunatic. Somehow, it went down immediately. I became happy. So it really works.
It's a level of self-awareness.
Really
Sorry. I used to have that as well. When you're driving and somebody tries to cut in, just like that, especially when you're a woman. That's my woman now. That's what my mind is telling me anyway. And I go like, hell no. And after a while, when I started my trainings, I realized that, okay, so what if he's cutting in? How does that affect my life? What does it stop in my life? So the last time somebody tried to cut in, and I was about to, and I just said, let me calm down. And I let him cut in.
Yeah, and for me, I think what really helps is knowing who you are and deciding on things you won't do when you're angry. So those things are there. Your body eventually accepts it. And so no matter what is happening, I tell me, for example, that I'll put myself in that person's shoes immediately and try to understand what's the issue. And in trying to understand that person, being that person's shoes, you take a lot of pressure off you. And you're trying to understand, why is she doing that? Why is he doing this? Okay, probably I say something wrong. What did I say wrong? And as you're trying to, take those things, because it's not something that you are doing instantly. It's something that your body has accepted that that's how you react to issues when you are. So I think we all should also resolve that no matter how angry I am, I won't talk back, I won't hit back, I will still be civil in my responses, and it's possible. If it's something you predetermine and work on it eventually, you won't get to that level at all where you have to lift your hand against anyone.
Barrister Mom, there's a question asking about the presence of lawyers alert in Port Harcourt in particular. I don't know if...
like I said, we have partner lawyers all across the country.
Okay.
So yes, there are lawyers in Port Harcourt.
So once they get to the website or Google lawyers alert,
there's a number he calls, or she calls, and we immediately give her or him the number of the person in the city that they are, and you contact the person.
Okay. I enjoyed your discussion.
You'll find a way of sending the contacts.
The contacts
website,
across,
okay.
The website, yes, that's true. I'm enjoying the discussion, but some women are very arrogant. Women? Are we arrogant?
Yes, some women are arrogant.
To their husbands.
Just like some men are arrogant
just
too.
like some men are
Look,
arrogant.
this is about a human thing.
To your husband,
yes.
Men
It
are
is a
arrogant
human
too.
How
thing.
can you be arrogant to your husband? How did you marry him?
Because it's not about the husband, it's about the person. And I think that's what we have to understand. It's about the person. The person is arrogant not because it's her husband. No, she is by nature arrogant, just like he is by nature arrogant.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, good morning. I really appreciate your discussions, especially on families. Men should always play a role of patience in order to keep the home peaceful. And I think that's a really good piece of advice. Just be a little bit patient. And then there's another one asking about what do I do when my wife is the one hitting me? Sir, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, and we may talk about this, but in circles, because it's all about that, mental health support we're still talking about. But let me say something here that most persons disagree with me on. There's that time when you have to walk away. It's not something that it's not your life. Your life is different. And once your life is beginning to, being in danger, you're not living a happy life again, it's time to walk away. So we should have the ability to say, look, I'm leaving, and leave. So it's not a death sentence.
All right, I just want to add that when we say I do, they say till
Death
do us part. That death is a natural death. It's not the one you will have to kill so that you can separate. Let's ensure that whatever happens, marriage is to be enjoyed, not to be endured. When it gets to the point where you need to endure, seek a third opinion as to what to do, whether to work out or do other things.
I think I agree with him too.
Yeah.
You have to discard the savior mentality. There are many women who have the savior mentality. I'm going to save him, or he is going to save her. She's. There's something wrong with her. That's why she's doing it, and it's my job to save him or her. It's not your job.
Yeah. Thank you to Barrister Mom, Coach Dee, and to Lizzie. We've been talking about domestic violence in the conversations room. I hope you were able to leave today's program with a little bit of something that will help you help your fellow man. Thank you so much, and see you again in another episode. Goodbye.